Hey, what's up YouTube? Thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Vin. In today's video, you're going to know why the 85mm prime lens is the ultimate portrait lens and also why it is commonly referred to as the Bokeh Master. The 85mm lens produces a pleasing and flattering look, especially when it is mounted on a full-frame body like the Nikon D850 or the Nikon D750. Another good thing with the 85mm lens is that it draws attention to your subject. It is also well known for isolating the subject even when the background is very busy. In this scene, there is too much going on in the background. Using the 85mm prime lens f1.8, I was able to isolate the model and get a very beautiful portrait filled with rich tones and extraordinary sharpness. The other thing I like about this lens is that it's very sharp, filled with rich tones, and very cinematic. I like it. It isolates the subject from the background. It's so professional. It is a mid-range telephoto lens. Many photographers, especially the amateurs, they would assume that when you have an 85mm lens, it is so heavy. But I can confidently tell you that this lens is very light. It's almost the same weight as the 50mm prime lens. So it's not as heavy as you would think. So it's a very good size and it performs beyond its size and weight. This is my go-to and favorite lens when I'm doing wedding and portrait photography. Another good thing with the 85mm lens is that it allows your couples to be comfortable during the shoot since there's that distance between you and your subject. So in this case, you're not invading their space, especially when they're introverted. You're giving them room to have that freedom and you're also not on their faces. In this scene, I was working on a fashion editorial project and I was standing a few meters from the model and I was able to compress the shot perfectly to my liking. And also, that distance is not as long as you will think. Hence, you are able to communicate effectively to your couples when you're giving them directions in regard to posing and stuff. And at the same time, you're able to give them room to breathe and also to enjoy themselves and not to invade their space during the shoot. So they're not going to feel awkward. And by the end of the day, you're going to have amazing portraits of them. If you like this video so far, please like and subscribe to this channel for similar content. The 85mm prime lens is a fast glass. It opens and closes very quickly. So this lens is ideal for those fast-paced scenarios like weddings and sporting events. So you're going to get amazing portraits. They're very sharp. Mine opens wide up to around f1.8, but there are other versions that open wide up to 1.4, especially the Sigma Art lens, the 85mm. That one now is the ultimate Bokeh Master. It's very sharp. You get full details. So this is a very good investment for you upcoming photographers and also for those who are established but are more geared towards the 50mm and other zoom lenses, maybe the 70 to 200mm. So that one, you'll get a zoom effect. But you see, for this one, you're getting a prime lens effect. It's more of like a telephoto lens. So this is a very good option for you guys. Another good thing with this particular lens is that it has no distortion, especially when you're coming in close to take a close-up, unlike the 24mm lens, which when you come close, you get some distortion on the face of your couple or maybe your model or your client. With this particular lens, when you're coming in close, you don't get that distortion. You're getting a perfect portrait and they will love the portrait because you know you've nailed it. When you're taking sunset portraits or early in the morning, sunrise portraits, you're getting a very beautiful flare in the background, hence making your portraits look more dreamy, look more pleasing and fun and warm. So this is a very good portrait for you guys to give your photographs and portraits some oomph, and this is going to separate you from the rest of the crowd because most photographers around the globe, they're using the 50mm and then when they get some extra bucks, they go and get the 24 to 70mm f2.8. So when you have an 85mm portrait lens, your photographs are going going to look different, they're going to feel different, you're going to stand out more from the crowd, and even clients would love your style. Personally, I use the 85mm portrait lens for every other portrait project that I'm doing, especially for wedding photography and portrait sessions. This is my go-to lens. And the 85mm lens is such a beautiful sweet spot. You're not going too far and you're not going too below, so you're in there. It could be your 50mm replacement, but in a moment I will tell you why you will not replace your 50mm. Another beautiful thing about this focal length is that you have full background control. You can separate your subject and make the background disappear, especially when you open it wide open at maybe f1.8, 2.8, 1.4 and maybe 3.5. You're going to make the background disappear completely and you're going to have that smooth and buttery dreamy bokeh. You're going to get that beautiful bokeh in your portraits, and your portraits are going to stand out, and many people are going to love your portraits. Your clients will book you more because your portraits look different from the rest of the crowd. And when you're going to use it during a wedding ceremony, you're going to maximize its capability and get the best out of it. Now, let's talk about the cons for a moment. But in my case, I only find one con. This lens is not ideal for tight spaces. You see, for an 85mm lens, you need quite some distance for you to move back a little bit so that you can get a full body portrait. You can come in close and get a close-up. When you're using the 85mm focal length, in a tight space, you're only going to end up with maybe close-ups of the bride's face if you're doing a wedding, and maybe half portraits. You wouldn't have that freedom to move back and get a full shot of your bride. So you'll want to carry a 35mm or a 50mm lens depending on the space. It's always advisable to do inquiries and do also scouting of the locations and where the bride is going to be done makeup, so that you know the kind of lenses you're going to use. But this particular lens is very good, especially during portrait session with the brides and the bridesmaids. You're going to get amazing portraits in those particular scenes because you are out there, outdoors, you have enough space to pull back. And also for some filmmakers, they will tell you they're using this particular lens to create a different feel in their cinematic videos. It's a good starting point for those who are starting out in photography, and also for those established photographers. This is a nice piece of gear for you to try. The 85mm prime lens is highly regarded in the wedding and portrait industry. Many photographers are recommending this lens, especially lately after many of them have tried out the 85mm. This lens is very sharp. In most instances, it is compared to the 100mm f1.4 or the 105. If you want detail, you can use the 85mm, or if you have a 105mm lens, you're on the safe side. A quick question for you guys. What are your experiences with the 85mm prime lens? If you have used it already, and if you have not used it, give me your reasons down below why you have not used this particular focal length for your portraits. And also, tag me when you're about to purchase your 85mm prime lens. I have amazing links for you down below. They are going to direct you to Amazon, where you can buy your 85mm lens specifically for your camera body, whether you are a Canon or Sony shooter. If you want the Sigma that is compatible to your camera body, I have the links down below. This particular lens, the 85mm lens, it is highly regarded in the wedding. Another beautiful thing about this focal length, remember to give me your answers down below in the chat box. And thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to like and subscribe and share with your friends for similar content. See you soon, and I can't wait to see you again in the next video. Peace out.